Hi, friends. Welcome to the Mastermind Moments podcast.
Hosted by your pals, Josh and Sasha.
Join us during our weekly mastermind as we collaborate on how to make the most out of our lives.
Not only are we going to mastermind our careers, we're going to work on all areas of life together.
Let's do it. Listen in as we make the most of our mastermind moments.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
So much better now that we're on.
Yeah. This is the first time we've spoken on, this is the first time we've recorded this year, is it? Or have we spoken already? It feels a bit crazy, but I think this might be the first time.
Oh my God, Happy New Year.
Happy
Hi.
New Year.
Oh my
We're going
God,
to look
that's
back
crazy,
on the last
actually.
episode and realize we said that in the last episode, but
It's very possible.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's possible that we haven't because we've both been so busy and so slammed
Yeah,
since year.
it's the
So
first week of the new year, isn't it? It's always going to be busy, but yeah, here we are on a Saturday night for me, Saturday afternoon for you.
yeah, we made it work. And I'm so glad. It's good. It's like we needed this so badly. Before we get into all of it, let's spin a wheel. Mental health. How do you set boundaries to protect your mental health? Thoughts?
I feel like you did handpick that one.
Didn't
but you also,
actually.
it's funny because you actually have no idea what's been going on with me the last couple of days. So it is a very
Yeah.
relevant question, as it always seems to be. But I really struggle with setting boundaries, or I have historically struggled with setting boundaries. And I assume this means with people, right? To protect your own mental bubble. But yeah, I've always really struggled. I always found it really hard because I don't want to upset people and I don't want to push people away. And as someone with BPD, I have a irrational fear of rejection, but of abandonment is the main thing. And so I really struggle to set the boundaries because I'm like, I don't want these people to abandon me as a result. The reason this is a relevant question is because I'm going through it at the moment. We spoke briefly over voice message about, for context for the listeners, Savita, my partner, she moved back to India a few days ago, so about 3-4 days ago. I think we're on day 3 now. And I said to you at the time that I was feeling okay. Like for day 1, I was feeling fine. It's hit me like a fucking train these last couple of days, and it's been a real emotional roller coaster, which we'll get into. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because my family have been really insensitive. I think they have not supported me in the right way at all. They have been bickering about other things in my ear. They've been talking about booking a family trip without me to New York this coming week. There's a whole load of things, and I went for a run about 40 minutes ago, and I got on a call with my mum during the run, and she was like, so can you come and look after the dogs while we're in New York? And then mentioning this argument that she had with Bella, my sister. And I was like, I put my foot down. I think I'd had enough, and the fear of abandonment went out the window. And I was just like, I really need you to support me in a very different way right now. And I communicated it very strongly but politely, and I made it very clear that I was upset, like not angry, but actually just sad. And she, I think, was very taken aback. She wasn't argumentative, which I could sometimes expect from my mom. She wasn't argumentative. She was just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry that you don't feel supported, and how can we do better? So I think setting boundaries to support your mental health is all about just effective communication, effective and calm and polite communication, coming at it from a place of calmness and positivity, I think, is the main thing. And that's what I did today. I wasn't really gung-ho about it. And I said to my mom, I was like, listen, it's not that deep, because she seemed to really take it to heart. And I was like, it's really not that deep. It's okay. But this is how I feel. And I really need you to respect these boundaries and basically help me out in a different way in order to support my mental health. And that effective communication, again, not coming at it from a place of anger, just calm, it worked. It worked. And I think I was a bit afraid to have this conversation with my mom, because is the kind of person that would take these things personally and turn it into a bit of an argument. But yeah, so I saw an interesting side. So it's a very, very relevant question. We're talking literally as recent as the last 40 minutes relevant.
That's so wild.
Yeah, it's funny.
And to be honest, like this time since James called me out for picking the questions, I've been closing my eyes and just scrolling on our sheet and just stopping somewhere and then letting that be the questions. So essentially, I think for me, and it's something we talked about on a voice message this week, which honestly felt nice to like voice message you and go back to the roots of our friendship, which felt really nice. And it's crazy because that's not even the roots of our friendship. That's like years. That's like not even the roots of our friendship. That's just like the recent roots of our friendship.
I think it's the roots
Like,
of the strength of our relationship as it is today.
yeah, the closeness of it.
The
Like,
reason we're doing
we were
this.
literally. And the roots of our friendship is like summer camp, but like like I say, like our best friendship got rooted in these
100%, yeah.
voice messages. And it felt really nice to chat with you over voice message again, just quickly to be like, we haven't talked in a week, but we should talk. And because I'm going through a lot, and it's relevant for me too. Like my mental health has not been great. And I'd say I'm definitely on the upswing right now. I feel the turning point, and I say like for me the boundaries doesn't really feel so much with people as it does with things and with like areas of life. So, the boundaries with work where it's okay, shut the work laptop, turn it off, step away from the work laptop, or turning the thing off, or actually stepping away from the thing that's burning me out, or like setting containers for it, or setting boundaries with myself of, okay, don't work yourself into the ground, take rest, take recovery. It's okay to step away and take a walk. It's okay to step away and take a break. That's fine. So it's been more boundaries with myself, honestly, to protect my own mental health as opposed to just like going and pushing myself into the ground. It's having to set, no, you need to stop. You need to chill out for a second. It's okay.
Yeah.
So not so much with other people.
That's an interesting thing, actually, because, I was talking about communication with other people and setting the boundaries with other people, because I think when I think boundaries, that's where my mind jumps to. But of course, there are so many different boundaries in every area of your life to protect your mental health. But I think that's actually still largely comes down to communication, but with yourself, right? It's about communicating with yourself to understand what your boundaries should be, where they should be in different areas of your life. So it's an interesting point.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been interesting for me for sure. I feel, and I guess we can just like jump into the meat of it all. But I definitely feel like an upswing with everything. But I know you and I have both kind of been challenged, I think, with mental health a little bit this past week. How is it? I know I texted you the day Savita left, and since then we chatted a little bit. How have you been doing? It hit you like a train. Like when we first talked, you're like, okay, I'm doing okay, and now you're just like, I'm going through it. What's going on?
Yeah, I feel like I manifested it in a way. I was saying on that first day that I was in a decent place. Like I wasn't surprised. I was just kind of like, I'm reveling in my alone time for the first time that I've slept by myself and had an entire day and night to myself in such a long time. Because even before Savita moved in, we were spending most of our week together. Alone time I was reveling in it in the first day. But my prediction was that I would very quickly start to do things that I would do usually with Savita, and then it would hit me, and then I would start to feel sad. And I feel like that first day, I didn't really do anything. I was working as I normally would, which she wouldn't usually be there for. But the last couple of days, there's been so many different things that I'm like, wow, like I didn't realize of course I realized, but it's insane the impact that she had on my life and the amount of things that we used to do together and the amount of things that I think you have it in the US, The Traitors. Do you have The Traitors, the TV show?
Maybe,
Okay.
possibly.
It's one of my favorite shows, and it's a reality show, and it's one of the top UK shows that everyone watches it here. And I think they made a US version as a spin-off. But Savita and I, it's basically been our show over the last couple of years. We watch it together, and it's just so much fun. It's so much fun watching it together, and we've had just the best time doing that. And it's a good example. They've just started a new season, and we watched the first couple of episodes together, and then she went away, and we tried today to watch it over FaceTime, and it just A didn't feel the same without her being there, and B it was glitching and it just wasn't working, and so we just came to the conclusion that this is just not. We're gonna have to watch it by ourselves. Like we can't watch it together, and it made me really sad. And my family are also watching it, and they keep pushing me to come and watch it with them, and I'm like, no, this is my thing with Savita. We have to do it together. And it just makes me so sad that she's not here to experience that with me. And I'm just seeing it in so many areas of my life now. The saddest thing, I've been going to sleep. I call myself doing it last night. I used to hold her hand in a very specific way. It was the kind of like borderline stimming kind of vibe where I would put my hand out and we would hold hands, like link fingers, and then I'd slip one finger into another area. It's hard to explain, but it's a very odd thing that I would do. And she would find it the funniest thing every time. But I've been going to bed subconsciously, like I didn't realize, and then last night it clicked, holding my hands together and doing that with my own hands. And I noticed it last night and I was like, wow, that's really, really sad. I'm really missing. I think the thing that I predicted I would miss the most was touch, of course, because distance. But that shows how much I'm missing it, I think. Just something as simple as that,
Wow.
I'm doing it to myself
You're
to
holding
get
your own
to
hand in your
get that
sleep.
fix. Yeah, exactly. I haven't told her that actually. I didn't tell her today. I think it would make her cry. But yeah, listen, it was always going to be hard. And I kept telling her, I kept trying to stay strong. Like at the airport, I fought the tears. And then I left. And the moment I stepped out of the airport, I started crying. As I said to you the other day, it is temporary. It's 2 months, and then hopefully I'll be in India for a couple of months, and then it's another 2 months, and then hopefully she'll be back. Hopefully we will have sorted it all by then. So I'm not. It doesn't feel completely earth shattering or heartbreaking,
Mm,
but I'm so used to her being around me that all these little things are just hitting me one after another now. And it
yeah.
just feels, yeah, the last 2 days, today and yesterday in particular, it's just been just constant reminders. And it's been really hard. And I'm not sleeping well because I'm so used to sleeping with her. I've been having really bad dreams. And I think I had a long distance relationship previously,
Yeah.
which was very different, of course, because it was always long distance. But I had a long distance relationship previously that wasn't very healthy, and there were a lot of things wrong with it. It was in many ways very toxic. And I think I have these visions, like these dreams that similar things are going to happen, and it scares me, even though it is supposedly temporary. It is a very scary thought. Yeah, there's a lot to process through, and it's going to be a process. And I think the next couple of weeks are going to be tough. But of course, I have the tools to process through it. I know what I was gonna say. I know what I need to do. I think ultimately it comes. It's about time. Like I need to give it
Yeah.
time, and I need to give myself the space to process through it, and probably to soak in the alone time as well, and use that as an
Yeah.
opportunity to really meditate on these things and be present with everything that's I'm feeling. But it's going to be a process. And yeah, I was on my run just now, and I hung up on my mum, and I just felt this wave of emotion. And I don't cry. Like I'm not a big crier, and I haven't. I've cried here and there the last few days, but it's been just that feeling you get when you're about to cry and you feel like your
Yeah.
eyes watering, and it's like a very intense, like sad feeling in this part of your head.
Yeah.
I keep feeling that, but not actually pushing myself over the edge to cry, which is very typical of me. I think I feel that a lot throughout my life, but I don't end up crying. I'd
Yeah.
be interested to know what the root of that is. Maybe go on an ayahuasca retreat and find out. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to get through.
Mm, yeah. I mean, I think you're right. It's just time. And I think allowing yourself to feel sad about it because it is a sad thing. And it's a sad thing. One thing I will say logistically though, like beyond the masterminding of it all, is have you tried the platform Netflix Party?
No.
Okay, try that.
Okay. What does it do?
If the show's on Netflix, then is the show on Netflix?
No.
Oh,
No. So we were watching it because in India, so it's on the BBC and they don't
okay.
have in the BBC in India, so she had to watch it illegally. But yeah, Netflix Party, I've heard of it. What is it? Does it syncs up your screens or something?
Yeah, it syncs up your screen. So one person will start the show, they'll send a link to the other, and it syncs it up so that when someone pauses, it pauses for both of you. When you play, it plays for both of you, and you can like chat in it and you can like talk on it. So it's designed for people to watch long distance. So if you watch a show on Netflix, like logistically, that's probably a better option. Like during COVID, that's what my ex and I did to watch shows together. Yeah, and also I don't know if you ended up getting those bond bracelets, but
Do
those
you know what? I
helped.
looked into it and I was going to because I wanted to sort some sort of a nice going away present for her to remember me and to help give us a little boost. I didn't in the end because I did a bit of research and people were talking about inconsistency, but I think actually the last couple of days I've been considering getting them, just sending one over to her and just giving it a go. I think it's a
Yeah,
nice little gimmick to
yeah,
feel the love, especially when I'm talking about the lack of touch. I know it's not a hug or anything like that, but
but it
I'm sure it
helps.
helps. You can tell me.
I can tell you firsthand, it really, really helps. It was during COVID. We had to do distance for a couple months during COVID, but those touch bracelets really, really help because like I'm a very big physical touch person, so was he. And yeah, even if there are inconsistencies, I mean, like inconsistencies in getting vibration is like whatever. But for me, they always worked. I always had a great experience with them, and I know it helped me a lot. So I would, if you think about it, like I can give you my personal recommendation that I really enjoyed them. Like I'm sure there are other things out there. Like there are plenty of long distance people. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of things like that per se.
Actually, that's a very good point. I'm sure there is a little bit of a market for long distance relationships. You just mentioned Netflix Party and the bands. I'm sure there's lots of different things because long distance, especially in this day and age, I think is fairly common.
Yeah.
In the age of internet, I think it's a pretty common thing. So yeah, I think there are things that we can do, and it's still very fresh, and we've both acknowledged that it's going to be a learning experience. So far, she's been very busy settling in, seeing her family, friends, and we've managed to FaceTime or get on a call every day so far. And I know it's not going to be every day moving forward, and we've both acknowledged that. And moving forward, we're not going to want to just be talking for an hour every day. We're going to want to do a little date night or something. So we need a bit of variety. And I think once she's settled and once I've settled back into my routine here, it'll be easier. It'll be much
Yeah.
easier. Part of the difficulty we're facing at the moment is that so her parents are basically, they've knocked down their house and they're rebuilding it. So at the moment, probably for at least another month and a half, they are living in a tiny apartment while the house is renovated basically.
Mm.
And as a result, she's sharing a bed with her sister, and it's difficult for us to communicate because she's 5.5 hours ahead. By the time I wake up, most of her day is done. She's well into the afternoon. She's working weird hours, so she's basically working from 3 p.m. her time. So I wake up and then she starts working. So we
Yeah.
can't FaceTime or anything until the evening. And by that point, everyone's getting ready for bed. So that's making it a bit difficult. But again, I think once everything is settled, we will find a routine.
Yeah.
But I think with all of these things, with processing through it, with finding what works for us, it's just about time and patience. I think
Yeah.
patience is really important because right now I'm not feeling like in a rush and I'm not feeling anxious or anything. I just feel sad. I just feel sad
Yeah.
and lonely. I'm interested to get your thought on this actually
Okay.
about I've said for the next couple of months, I kept telling her it's going to fly by. And I do believe it. I think it will go fairly quickly before I'm there.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's healthy to keep myself busy in what the vision that I've had over the next couple of months is I'm going to go back to how I was before Savita in terms of out socializing pretty much every night, giving myself a break so that I don't burn out, of course. I think I've learned that from my mistakes a couple of years ago. but just keeping myself busy so that I don't have time to feel lonely and surround myself with people who I feel love me and who I find good company and do fun things with them. I don't know if that's healthy though. I feel like it may not be.
Why not?
Well, when you're processing through something, it's not healthy to keep yourself busy, right? Because you can't
I don't know.
process
What
through it.
is healthy? Like, what is healthy? And also, I have mixed emotions about this, but I think it's both. I think you should do both. I think there's a time and place that you're gonna want to go out, and part of processing is going and seeing your friends and having a conversation with them, or going and doing things you enjoy and filling your cup up. That's also part of processing as well. Like, it's not just sitting there and staring at the wall and being like, I feel so sad and lonely. Like, a lot, it's not just that. It's also filling your cup up in other ways as a part of processing too. Like, the whole thing is processing. So I don't know if it's like unhealthy or healthy. I think it is a very healthy thing to keep yourself busy in a lot of ways, and in your work and in your side hustles and in your seeing your friends and your family and your physical health, and just focusing on these other areas of life, because the romance portion is like still there, but it's less in person and it's smaller right now because she's not there with you. So focusing on the other areas, I think, is a very, very healthy thing, and it is an opportunity to focus on those other areas and get a little bit ahead in your career, or really focus on your friendships or your family relationships because you haven't been able to up until this point. And at the same time, I think it's also carving out space for yourself to have space to just sit there and stare at the wall and be like, I feel so sad and so lonely. And I'm going to do that thing where I almost cry, but don't actually cry. And just, like,
The
I think
Josh
there's a
cry.
space. Yeah, the Josh cry,
Yeah.
right? I think there's a space for both. And I think both are equally as important. And I don't think one is more unhealthy or healthy than the other. I think you need both. It's the same. I would give the same advice to someone going through a breakup, because it's you're not going through a breakup, but I don't think your body knows the difference. When you have to be physically separated from someone, you are physically going through the same experience as a breakup,
Yeah.
even though you're not.
That's such an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would give the same advice to someone going through a breakup: is cry when you need to cry, feel upset when you need to feel upset, allow yourself to process and to feel grief. Again, plugging that book, Soul Broken, Ambiguous Grief, so good. But allowing yourself to feel that, but then at the same time, like, allowing yourself to go and fill up your cup and do things that are good and keep yourself busy and lean into working out and seeing your friends and your career and all this, because I think there's a space for both. And I think both are super necessary.
Yeah. No, I definitely. I was thinking next week. I've had a really busy week. It's been, again, I think we spoke about this over the Christmas period and the final few weeks with Savita. Everything was so busy, as it always is that time of year, seeing friends and family and doing activities. It's just a busy time of year every year.
Yeah.
And so it's bad timing. It's bad timing that this has happened when it's happened. And I was really looking forward to next week when I have nothing on. I have a couple of things, but basically very clear week when I can just actually be alone and process through things. But this conversation, what you've just said, has made me rethink that. And I can allow myself the space to do that, of course. And that's really important to have that option. But I'm starting to think maybe it is just a good idea for me to keep myself busy. And I was by myself on day one and I enjoyed it, but I think the emotions did boil up towards the end of the day. Yesterday I went out and I met friends and it felt so good. Like it was, I really needed that. And then today I was out at the football with my dad and sister. And again, it felt great. Like I really needed that. It felt like a release and kind of a distraction from the emotions, the intense emotions I'm feeling. So I think, yeah, a good mix, a healthy mix is probably the way forward. Not going out every single night like I used to and burning myself out socially. I don't think that's healthy because that just adds another layer of negative emotion that I have to process through.
Yeah.
But I guess another way of looking at it is what am I actually processing through? My body doesn't recognize that this isn't a breakup, as you just said. From a physiological perspective, there's no real difference because that touch and a huge element of my life in real life in person is gone all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, what am I processing through in that mentally, if I tell myself this isn't a breakup and remind myself this isn't a breakup, it's temporary. I'll be with her in a couple of months and then she'll be back here in 6 months or so, it softens the blow, or it should soften the blow if I keep telling myself that. So, yeah, that's good advice.
I would say just both. Just do both. Allow yourself the days or the nights to just sit in, be sad if you need that, and allow yourself the days and nights to go out and be with your people and focus on your other things. I think you need both because your body doesn't know the difference between what's happening right now and like a real breakup. Like it has no
Yeah.
idea. Like
Yeah.
to your body, you're losing a ton of physical touch, so it physically feels the
Yeah.
loss, but I think there's a space for both and just allow both. There's no right or wrong answer here. I will say, yeah, you're going through right now, and every time you're feeling sad, reminding yourself that it's just temporary is cool, but also I'd say just be as present as possible in what you're going through right now, in the sense of be present with how you're feeling and not just shoving it down, but be present with how you're feeling because it's teaching you a lot. It's teaching you a lot about you and how you feel about your relationship and how you process through things. And also, I would be present in it where it's if you're going to be with Savita forever, and if this is very temporary, when you guys are in the same place at the same time, like permanently, you're not going to have this time back where you have unlimited time to yourself to focus on the things you want to focus on, to fill your cup up in other ways. So I think there's a space for both, and both are necessary. And just be present with it all too, because it's a very transitional and pivotal point in your life. So the best thing you can do is just be present with it, even if it is very, very painful.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, 100%. I think something else I wanted to touch on really quickly was what I mentioned at the start about my family and the way that they've chosen to support me. Because it's really, really upset me, and it's really made me think a couple of things, but the main thing is I think actions speak louder than words. And I've had people reach out to me and go, "How are you doing?" And they really care. Like yourself, you've reached out to me and checked in on me and asked how I'm getting on and stuff, and we've spoken about it. But then there are other people who it feels like it's an afterthought. And
Mm.
unfortunately, that does seem to be the way of my family. I had an issue with my mom and my sister on day one where they were having a big argument between each other, which we won't get into, but it was an explosive argument.
Yeah.
And they knew that this was day one and I was very, very emotionally raw, and they used me as a middleman. So my mum
Mm.
called me and was in my ear going off about Bella, and then Bella was on the other line 10 minutes later in my ear going off on one about my mum. And
Yeah.
it got to a point where I lied to my mum and I said, I have to go, I've got a work call coming. And then Bella called me, and it got to a point where I just flipped. And I was like, you need to sort your own shit out. You both need to go and see a therapist and not use me as your therapist. And I wrote them a message afterwards because it upset Bella that I was talking to her like that. I think she felt I was being inconsiderate in that moment and not being considerate of what I was going through. And I'm not saying that what I was going through is any worse than what they were going through in that moment, but they shouldn't have used me as a sounding board. That wasn't appropriate. And then this week, today even, my mum reached out and basically asked me. So she's moved outside of London now. I think we've
Yeah.
spoken about that. And she asked me next week if I'd be willing to go and look after the dogs for 6 days so that she and my two sisters can go to New York. And this didn't sit right with me for many reasons, not least because I wasn't invited.
Hey, where's my invite?
Not I wasn't invited, and with everything that I'm going through right now, like I really need that support. They're basically going to New York to see my family there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would fucking love to do that. I can't anyway. And that's what happened. They assumed that I couldn't because of work, but they didn't even ask. And it was just kind of like, I really need love and support right now. I need my family. I need people like that close to me. And you're just fucking off to New York without me, all of you. And then on top of that, asking me to go to dog sit and basically isolate myself for 6 days. So I wouldn't be able to go and see friends. I'd be stuck at my mum's place because I could get into London, but it's expensive, it's long. I'd have to get a very early last train. It didn't sit right with me at all. And I just, yeah, that's what I had that conversation with my mum just before we got on here. It's just good timing that we are recording when we are. I spoke to her and I just said, this is just not fair the way that you're behaving. She was very taken aback and she was sad about it, I think. I had to be very careful with the way I approached it. But she seemed to be kind of like, yeah, okay, we're not going to go. And I felt really bad because I don't want them to not go because of me and because of how I'm feeling about it. And I said that. I was like, please go. I don't honestly, you can go, it's fine, but just don't ask me to dog sit. Or it was just a whole build up. It was a whole domino effect of things that they were doing. And despite asking me how I am, it felt like the actions behind the actual care weren't there. And that's what
Yeah.
matters at the end of the day. Yeah, that's just something else that I was dealing with, but I think has been dealt with by effective communication.
Yeah, completely. And I think it was goes to the question that we answered where you did set that boundary and you did stand up for yourself and say, this is not the support and care I need right now, which is great because a lot of times people are so in their own lives and so in their own bullshit, they forget that other people are also in their own lives and their own bullshit. And especially when, you're going through something really tremendous and a very big life change and a very painful life change, sometimes that can get lost in translation and like for them, maybe it was just like a one-time thing and then forget that this is an ongoing change. This is not something that's like oh, she's gone and like it's upset for one day. No, this is an ongoing thing you have to deal with. And I think they probably just, my bet is that it's not intentional, obviously. No one, especially your family, I know how close you guys are. It's like, it's not intentional that they want to hurt you, but it is painful. And especially in times like this, you want to lean on your friends and family. And again, so different because you're not going through a breakup, but the only thing I can equate it to is a breakup is when I went through my breakup, leaning on my friends and family was literally the only thing keeping me sane at the time. And even now, like leaning on my friends and family is like the most fulfilling thing in my life. And then if the people closest to you you don't feel cared for by the people closest to you, of course that's going to impact you because you feel like the people who, are your biggest support system, you really can't lean on them. So I think that's going to impact you as well. And of course, and I'm glad you stood up for yourself and I'm glad that you said that that's not the support you need right now. And I'd also urge you to go a step further and to tell them, if you haven't already, which my bet is that you did, but to go further and say, this is a support I need right now. I am going through this. I'd appreciate be like, I know I can't expect you to do this, but this would be really helpful if you had the space and if you could.
Yeah, my mom said, what support do you want then? If it's not, she said, we have been asking how you are. I said, the issue with asking how I am is it's a question that I'm being asked a million times at the moment by everyone. And it's fine. I don't mind answering it. And it does show that people are thinking about me and care. And I really appreciate that. So that's the sentiment there. But then you have to back it up with your actions. And it's not even about what you're doing. So she said, so do you want me to be calling you 2-3 times a day and checking in on you? And I'm like, no, that would drive me insane. What I need from you is to not do things, right? It's not about doing things necessarily. It's about don't do what you've done with this whole New York thing. Don't put me as the middleman when you're having an argument with my sister. It's all about consideration for how I'm feeling. And before you do anything, it's not related to the situation with Savita, but just before you do anything that involves me, think about, is this appropriate with the state, with what he's going through right now? And I don't think that's particularly difficult. I don't think that's a big
No.
ask.
No, I don't think so. And hopefully they honor it. And I guess you'll have to see. I don't know if you had that same conversation with Bella or not, but hopefully you can see like how things pan out over the next couple
Yeah,
weeks with them.
yeah.
But I'd urge you to have the same conversation with her if you haven't already.
I haven't, and she's flying back to LA today, so I might bring it up. I probably won't have anywhere near as much to do with Bella in the next couple of months now that she's back in LA. So yeah, it is what it is. And I probably will set those boundaries with Bella and have that conversation. But yeah, effective communication ultimately. So as I said, it was a very, very relevant question. But enough about me. I feel we came on here and I was like, I know I'm going to talk a lot because there's a lot going on, but I know that you've also surely got a lot going on. So what's up?
For me, I feel And we had for the listeners, obviously you were not in our conversations over voice message. It was so funny. I know I've said this before. My therapist was like, "You're telling me that all the stuff you don't say on the podcast, you say in voice messages. Do you know if your podcast blows up, how much those voice messages are going to be
Yeah.
worth?" I was like, yeah, but whatever. I think that's so funny. But yeah, so we had a conversation or voice message over all the stuff that was happening, and I think it's something I communicated with you, and we even talked about on the last podcast episode, is how burnt out I was feeling in general with everything, with life. And I'd say I still am feeling burned out, but I feel like I'm at a turning point. I'm at a turning point. I'm on the up and up. Things overall, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm almost there. Like, it is almost there. It is coming around. I'd say, like, just to go through real life, like, quickly, friendships are literally the most fulfilling thing in my life. Number one, this morning was chatting with my girlfriends from Paris and FaceTimed with one of them for 40 minutes this morning, and we're still so in each other's lives. Even though the two of them are still there and they're still really close friends. I feel so much FOMO every time I see like photos of them, but like they're still there, but I still feel so involved, and I still feel so cared for and loved, and I feel so close to them. But just my other friendships too, I think there's something in the force or something in the energetics, because I think, like, how when you're going through something and you have like friends reaching out, even if they don't know you're going through something, like a lot of people in my life didn't know I was going through this crazy burnout, and I've had so many people reach out to me in the last like week or two being like, "Hey, like we haven't heard from you, like how are you, or you happy new year, what's going on?" And just feeling so loved by my friends feels really great. And something else that feels on the up and up too, as of last night, is my family relationships. And it's something that we had a chat about over voice message, and I'm not going to get into it too much on the pod, but essentially I felt some tension, and there was like a lot of gossiping in my family and a lot of like tension and potential built up resentment. And last night, I feel like so proud of how I handled this. Where last night I was out with some family members and I just addressed it head on. I was like, "Can I just do some housekeeping right now? Like, I'm hearing gossip, and I just want to address you directly. Is this true or not? And can we talk about it? Because I want to have the outcome I want is I want to have a close relationship with you. And I don't want there to be a wedge driven between us by gossip, by the unspoken thing, by XYZ. I'm like, I would rather just like address this head on, deal with it." And we had a really beautiful conversation we went really, really deep into all these different family dynamics and about like how they actually weren't feeling any resentment at all. And it was just a game of like telephone and a game of whisper down the lane, and things were just being misconstrued and whispered in my ear inaccurately. And just being able to address the thing head on felt so good. And I think it's a lesson that I've learned through this past year, especially with everything that happened with Mr. Swassel Cease and all that, and just in general, a lot of stuff that was happening. If you're having a problem with the person, just talk to the person about it and just be direct and be upfront. And there's something my therapist was telling me too. He's the thing directly that's bugging you, and that thing will go away. Like, you just have to, instead of just like going in your head about it and going in circles about it and working yourself up about it, just address the thing head on. And doing that felt so relieving and so great. And I was even able to say, "Listen, I want to have a close relationship with you guys, and it feels very one-sided, and I don't have any expectations on you guys, because for me, if I love you and have expectations of how you treat me, that's not love, that's transactionality, and I don't want that. So I'm going to continue to love you, and I'm going to continue to show up and visit and reach out. And if you can't do the same, that's okay. But I would love to have a closer relationship." And I felt so heard and seen and understood, and we had a really beautiful conversation last night. And I don't feel angry with my parents anymore, because I ended up finding replacements for all the stuff that they lost, which listeners don't know. My parents lost some really important stuff to me, clothes and bags and shoes,
You
obviously.
sorted it out?
I found replacements.
Okay.
Josh, went crazy. I went crazy. I found the replacement for the dress and the shoes by like someone who was secondhand selling them, this exact ones. So I found those, but the bag was really difficult. I was nuts. I called every single store in the US. I emailed every single person who worked at the company. I went crazy on social media, and finally they found an extra bag for me in the office that they are like personally shipping me. I was like, "Great, thank
Wow.
you."
It
Yeah.
shows if you really want something.
Yeah, it also shows with people who like take no for an answer, you're not trying hard enough. Like, just a lesson in life generally. But family feels really good right now, which is awesome. And, you know, that was getting on me. Physical health is like feeling neutral right now, not good, not bad. Mental health is like on the up and up. I have been meditating every day. I've not been great in a mental health place up until I'd say today, but It feels like things are turning around. Just career things feel like they're turning around too. Like things are finally seeming to get better at work. I've gotten like things seem to be getting better with my boss. I think it's all been over Slack, but over Slack there's been like praise and good communication. So it feels better, and I feel like more supported by the team, which feels nice. And podcast wise, I'm in a place where I'm really excited about what's coming next, but my priority right now is to take care of my mental health and to rest, recover, recuperate, because come February, March, like my focus is to really, really dive deep into the podcast. And I want to make sure I'm doing that from a flow state, from an inspired state, from a rejuvenated state, and not from a forced state, not from like a burnt out state. So my goal and my focus is to really prioritize rest, recovery. So I'm just going through I'm going through the motions right now and still producing something, but doing bare minimum just to gear myself up for that time, and also working ahead so that I do have some time next week to stop, fully rest, fully recover. Romance is non-existent, and I think this is good for me. Like I think in general, like all of my closest friends to me have said, and even my family too, they're all like, thank God you're actually taking a break from talking to anybody. Like, I'm not talking to a single person right now. I'm fully, like, no one is on the roster, just like taking time for myself, and it feels good and healthy. Like, everyone is thrilled about
It's
it.
so good. After the year you've had, and I think it's really healthy.
Yeah, it's so healthy, I think. And also, like, even right now, I just don't feel like in this moment of time, I don't feel like I have the space to entertain anybody, just because there are other things I'm like wanting to sort out and prioritize and feel good about right now. And I think I want to allow myself the time and space to feel the residual heartbreak about all of the breakups I just went through. I went through 3 breakups. Of course, there were a lot of like flings and blah, blah, blah. I always had someone I was talking to, like always. Even if there was like no one, I was like still texting somebody. I was still like playing the field, whatever. And this is the first time ever I'm not talking to anybody. And it feels really healthy, and I'm allowing myself to feel the residual heartbreak. And I'm like, wow, I still feel waves of sadness around this. Like, I still feel waves of sadness around particularly the last one, but I know that it's built up from the other 2 before it with my ex and with Dr. Leprechaun. Like, I'm sure those feelings, they just shoved them down, and like now they're like all coming up residually, and no tears or anything. Like, I haven't found myself crying about any of this, but I'm just like, once in a while I'll be like, oh yeah, sad. And I was FaceTiming my girlfriend from Paris this morning, and she's like, I think you're looking at the summer with rose-colored glasses, because over the summer you would come to me and you would be upset about things, and you would be upset about things, and those are things that you still had issues with in Asia, and those are things that ultimately ended, like part of why things ended, but you are looking at it with rose-colored glasses, and just be aware of that. And yeah, romance is non-existent, but I think that's feeling really healthy right now. The thing I am most excited about is my change of physical environment. I leave tomorrow for San Diego, and I'm going to be there for at least 2-3 months. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. And like the change of scenery, I think the sunshine's going to be great. I think the weather, I think I'm just really looking forward to being there.
Good.
And yeah, like
Yeah.
it feels like I'm on the edge of everything shifting and everything changing. And it feels like I've been going through this burnout for about a month. And it's okay, like I see the end. So I'm like, this week is okay, get as much as I can done this week, because my surgery's Thursday. I'm trying to wrap up as much as I can with work, with my admin, with my podcast, all of that before Thursday. And I've given myself 5 days of nothingness, like absolutely nothing. No work, no podcast, no admin, nothing. Like, my only goal is to sit, just sit. That's it. Stare at the sky, watch a ridiculous amount of TV. That's all I want to do for 5 days straight. And I can't tell you the last time I took 5 days to just run. Like, I don't know the last time I did that.
Yeah, I can imagine. You're a busy girl.
Yeah, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. And like, really looking forward to just, yeah, it's going to be painful and I'm going to be in pain, but at least I'm going to be actually resting. And then for 2 weeks after, I've told my boss, I'm like, I'm going to do the bare minimum for 2 weeks. I'm going to be off camera, give myself 2 weeks to just chill, not do anything, hang out. But yeah, mental health has been tough and the burnout's been tough, but I feel like things are shifting and I feel like I'm coming out of the other side of it. And I will say too, like last week when I voice messaged you, I just told you I wasn't in a good place, and I also said it was a week before my period, and I typically am more upset during that time. As soon as I got my period, I started feeling better,
Huh,
like
really?
mentally.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's uncomfortable that I'm on the period, but at least like mentally I feel better now. So yeah, I feel like things are changing and things are shifting. And I think like the change is happening, but it's happening like right now.
Good. I think one of the
Yeah.
best feelings is when you've been in a rut or in a burnout and you start to come out the other side of it and you can see, as you said, the light at the end of the tunnel. And you just feel this new lease of life. You feel this kind of vigor that you haven't felt for however long because you've been in this rut or in this burnout. It's such a good feeling when you start to feel that excitement and start to feel human again. It's a really beautiful thing. So I'm really glad to hear it, and I'm glad to hear that you've that entire monologue was sorry, monologue sounds rude, but
No, but no, yeah,
is what we
that's
do.
what it was. I do.
Yeah, exactly. But that entire thing was just positive, so overwhelmingly positive, and you're doing all the right things as well. You talk about the communication with your family, and it sounds like you did that on multiple levels as well with your parents and with your cousins, right? So that's really healthy. You're doing healthy things. You're doing the right thing, and that's the best you can do. Especially when you're experiencing the way you were feeling last week when you said you weren't in a great state. You're doing healthy things. So I'm glad to hear it. It made me feel happy hearing all of that.
Yeah, like it's like I'm still in it. Like I'm still very much so in the burnout, very much so in it right now, but I feel it shifting. I feel it changing. I know it's happening and it's happening like right now as we speak. Like today's my last day with my family. I'm like catching up on the pod today, working ahead on the pod today, and tomorrow I leave for San Diego and I have 6 hours on the plane to do whatever I want to do and like maybe I haven't sat with my goals yet this year. I feel like all my goals for 2026 are still swirling in my head and I like feel like I know them, but I haven't gotten them on paper. I haven't spent the time and energy to like really sit with them in that kind of way. And I was low key, I was like, okay, I'd rather do it in a better state and like maybe on my period or maybe at the beach or something. So giving myself some space to do that. And yeah, like I'm like in it and I'm still in it, but it's okay. Like I see the light. Like the light is there and the light is coming and it is close. And I just feel like as soon as I step foot in California, I just feel like I'm stepping into a new freaking life. Like I feel like this is the beginning. I had this whole year and like, maybe it's a little bit more than a year, right? Like from December 27th, 2024 through what, January 11th, 2026, going back to back to back, moving on average every 6 days and like really going for it and burning myself out. And I feel like going to California and being there is gonna be like literally going into a new life and a new chapter. And just, I'm like, people keep asking me to plan for next year, and I have a general plan, but I'm also like very open to just loving California, wanting to stay. I am committed though to going back to Paris for the summer, even if it's like for a couple weeks to visit.
Okay.
Even at the bare minimum, I'm going back to Europe for the summer, even just to visit, but I'm also considering going back for the whole summer again. Um, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm just like, it feels like I'm on the up and up, but I'm still in it, but it feels like things are turning around and feels like things are turning right now.
Good. Good. That's so good to hear. And I had a question. It's slipped my mind. No, it hasn't. So you got your surgery, and actually, just to comment on what you were just talking about, you have been experiencing this burnout, which I think is largely as a result, an after effect of the year that you've just had, and of course the Christmas, the busy festive period. And then you have this time where you've got the surgery, and then you've got time that you've given yourself to do nothing. And I think it's a perfect time, as you say, the light at the end of the tunnel, to reset and to really set your intentions moving forward. And we've spoken about that already, but I think it's a really exciting time, and I think it's going to be huge. I think it's perfect. It's almost like when you read a book and before you go on to the next chapter, there's a blank page in some books,
Mm-hmm.
and some books are formatted that way. It feels like that. It's like the blank page in between the burnout and the chapter of this previous year and the next chapter moving forward. And I think that's a really, really nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think I'd say like 3 weeks, I'd say from now until February 1st, I'd say that's my blank page. That's my blank page to wrap some shit up, to rest, to recover, to reflect, to sit on all of this and like to just stop. Granted, like I'm getting literally surgery, but to stop for a second. And then I feel like February 1st is kind of like, okay, new life, let's go, let's do the thing. But yeah, it does feel like that. It feels like this kind of weird transition moment, and in some ways it's uncomfortable, but in some ways it like feels okay, like I'm on that blank page. Okay, one thing I was also taking a note of yesterday, I was keeping a note of, because seeking discomfort was something that I actively did last year, and like I'm curious on your perspective as like co-host, best friend, mastermind, pal. I like made a list of the discomfort that I actively went into, but I'm curious if there were any from your perspective that you saw me do, just because I'm keeping a note and a tab of them.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I feel like I'd have to probably sit and think about it, honestly. I could probably get
Yeah.
back to you on that. It's
I'm
just,
curious on your perspective.
yeah, I think I would, because I can think back on the last year, and if I think back to each location you were in and the things that you might have done there. I mean, I think one that immediately springs to mind is that hike that you did in, was it Rio?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
I asked my sister because Cheska was in Rio, I think before you or after, I don't remember.
I think it was after.
After, okay. Yeah, because you were in Rio, yeah, quite early on, right? Yeah. So after, and she said she did a really hard hike, and I was like, oh, Sasha did this really difficult hike. I think I asked you which one it was. But yeah, that's one that immediately springs to mind. There's so much. Yeah, give me a bit
Yeah.
of time. I'll get
Yeah.
back to you on that.
The ones I wrote down was the discomfort of not having a home, discomfort of not having a routine, the discomfort of not being around people, like when I went to Zion and did that whole like monk thing for 10 days. The discomfort of being in a foreign country alone where I didn't speak the language, that was like more Rio. Kind of like the discomfort of feeling like dumb and stupid when I was in France, like speaking French. The discomfort of being alone with no male prospects at all. So like from December until whenever that ends. I have this hike thing that you said. And then the next one is the discomfort that I'm trying to tackle next. It's like the discomfort of doing less.
That's a
Yeah.
major one. That's a major one because
Yeah.
that's been a like ongoing battle with you for such a long time, right?
Forever.
Yeah.
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 Like,
Wow.
I don't know how to not have 4 to-do lists. Let's knocking down to 3 is done because the travel list is gone. But I think like setting up systems, I think if I set up like time blocks and systems for how I schedule my life out in California would be great. Okay, like from this time to this time, like 6 to 2, 9 to 5, like I do my job. And then from this time to this time, I like do my schedule my weeks out. So, okay, this is my admin time. This is a podcast time.
Yeah.
And then base it, like systemize it. So it's like, I know what I need to be doing. And then I have the space to do the thing as opposed to being like, all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've literally just done that actually. Yesterday, I sat down. I've been meaning to do it since the turn of the year. I sat down and I went on my Google Calendar and I just blocked out how my day should look in an ideal world. And I spoke to Savita about it. I was like, if I could stick to this rigidly, my life would look so different. Like I would be able to make my side hustles full time in no time. The podcast would get so much attention. I'd be working out first thing every morning. Having it actually blocked out. And so I said the reason I did it was because I struggle to wake up early in the mornings, as you very well know, and as the podcast very well knows. If you remember 606, that kind of,
606,
yeah,
I was
exactly.
just thinking that.
That went out the window. But I really struggle. And I think I asked myself the question the other day, why do I struggle so much? And of course, there's things like it's cold and I want to be warm in bed for another couple of hours and it's dark outside and whatever. But I think I wake up a lot of the time and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Like I wake up and I have a rough idea of what I'm going to be doing. Like I'll get up, I'll go to the gym, I'll go for a run. But then after that, what am I doing for the next couple of hours? I could do a bit of work on the podcast. But if I actually have it rigidly written out, this time you work on the podcast, this time you work on this, which I've now done, it it gives me more of a reason to wake up because I know what I'm waking up to. I
Yeah.
think it makes a real difference.
Yeah. And even like just you were being more consistent with the podcast stuff, like you can see how it impacts the numbers on the back end. Like our listenership went up last month.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
That's crazy. The only thing that changed was the fact that we were doing marketing.
Yeah, literally.
Like, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it
Yeah.
different because I started posting again, I guess early December was it? I'm not sure,
Yeah.
which is perfectly in line with it. So that's, yeah, it's motivation.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when we see the improvement on the back end, and I think it's really cool to see that because it like directly correlates. That's awesome. And yeah, I think so you just blocked out all the time. So I guess starting this week, I guess.
Starting Monday, yeah, I think these few days have just been very intense emotionally, and I've been sleeping a lot and kind of actually in a way living the life of someone who's depressed, but I'm not depressed. I'm not. And I've committed, I've told you about it, I've told Savita about it, so I've got people to hold me accountable. It's not 6:06, it's actually earlier that my day starts.
6:05.
Yeah. No, just 6, like a normal person. So yeah, 6 o'clock Monday morning, my rigid schedule starts. But yeah, I think it's a really good thing. Why it's widely talked about amongst successful people about how important it is to schedule your day and to know what you're getting into the next day, almost to the minute. It's talked about so widely. I'm glad that you're talking about doing it, and it's something that I've just started doing. Just stick to it.
It's feeling really exciting and really good for me. Like I just haven't written it down, but I have it. I feel the same about the goals and the same about the time blocking. It's like it's in my head. It just needs to go on paper.
Yeah.
Like it needs to. But I have 6 hours on the flight tomorrow to.
That's plenty of time.
Yeah, to sit with it and to do it. So it should be good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, cool. Y'all, thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next week on Mastermind Moments. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow along on social media.
If you would like us to help you mastermind something in your life, please send us a message.
We'll see you next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast.